Welcome to the Who's Next Let's Go show. I'm your host, Mike motherfucking Johnson. I've been in 3 industries over the last 30 years, including real estate, automotive, and restaurant service. Each week, my guests and I will be sharing the stories that make us say, you can't make this shit up. So take a break from the mainstream bullshit and join me for another exciting episode of the Who's Next Let's Go show. Welcome to the Who's Next Let's Go show. Today's episode is going to reference the real estate industry. We try to bounce back and forth. We've done restaurant, we've done the car business a couple times, and we've done the real estate world a couple times, and now today we're going to go back to the real estate world. Today's guest, Miss Andrea, is hysterical. She does not have a face for radio, so she's kind of like the opposite of the most people that hear. She's actually very pretty as opposed to the rest of us, who should just stay off of video.
You're working me up. I don't know.
We got Mr. Mario, who definitely has a face for radio. ¿Qué te pasó, hey, Mario? So, as you'll see as the videos progress, most of us should stay with audio. Today's guest, we have a treat though. She is actually very pretty. So we're going to welcome Andrea to the show. We're going to swap some stories in the real estate industry, and we're going to have a really good time. So, welcome. Today's episode is sponsored by the Back Porch Brewing Company and who'snextletsgo.com. Thanks for coming out today, Miss Andrea.
It's going to be fun.
It is going to be fun. We got a lot of real estate stories to share, and from what I understand, you've built this one story up pretty good, so I'm hoping I'm going to laugh. Mario, I know you have a real estate story or two, so welcome in as well.
Thank you.
We are going to start with a story I have that I don't know that you know. And this, it still baffles me. A lot of these stories baffle me. One of the things I've recently learned is that most of the people we sell houses to or for are super nice. Most of them. But every now and again, you'll get one that isn't that bright.
Or starts out real nice.
Or flips a switch.
It goes real down. It goes down fast. Yeah.
Or you get one that thinks they're smart, but they're really stupid and they're mean. Those are the worst.
Yeah.
Because you just can't fix them. You just can't fix stupid. And if they think they're smart, but they're not, and then they think they know more than you, but they don't, and you just want to just shoot yourself right in the face.
That sounds like the car business.
Oh, it's most businesses, but in real estate, it's such a high level of money being dealt with, and it's crazy. But these people happen to be stupid, but they didn't own a home. And the reason I say they're stupid is because I have an investor friend of mine, and him and I go look at different properties all the time. And the stupid people happen to be the ones that live there. They were renting the home. And they didn't want to move because their rent in the next place was obviously going to go sky high. And so they were comfortable with the amount of rent they were paying. So we go, and they were bitter because they were getting the house sold. So we knock on the door, and they answer the door 15 minutes later. We're sitting there, we're waiting, and they're just slow rolling the whole deal. What the fuck are they in there doing? So once they opened the door, I discovered exactly what they were doing. So they had taken their dog's feces and rubbed it all over the walls so that no one would buy the house. Now, I handed them the keys and I said, let me know what you think. I'll be right here. There was zero chance I'm going in this fucking house. So, and I'm thinking outside, and I'm thinking, well, you know, that guy's going to go in there and he's going to make a decision whether to buy it or not. And then him and I, we're going to go leave. And we're going to go home to our nice house here. And he's got a nice house there. We're going to be in our nice house. And they're going to still be in there with shit on the wall.
Is that the same house with the spray paint? Were you?
No, I did. I sold the fuck you house. That's the fuck you house.
Yeah.
That house is infamous.
Yeah.
But that house was actually nice on the inside. But on the outside, it said, fuck you. So
I was hoping maybe they were the same house.
No, I got all kinds of shit. I got a house now that it's over here in Nokomis that you could, if you wanted to. Now, I have a couple different houses. This isn't about me today. It's about Andrea. However, these are pretty funny stories. So I got this, the people put dog shit on their house, and they had to live there after we left, and God forbid they had to clean that up or whatever. I don't understand what. Anyways, go ahead. Look like you have a question.
No, I was just going to say, hold on. They rubbed dog shit?
That's just,
dog shit
on the wall. That's just, they spite.
Stupid.
Of their own home?
On their own home.
Because even if
now, in their defense, it wasn't like it was a shining star to begin with. So they might not have noticed the difference with the dog shit on the wall. but then the house she's talking about, the fuck you house. was over here in our beautiful area.
It wasn't like pink spray paint. Like was it orange?
Yeah, no, pink or orange. It was very
It was bright. I mean, it wasn't like, it was right on the front of the house.
So this house was over here behind the racetrack. If we all know, that's a lovely neighborhood behind the racetrack. And so they had some entrepreneurs out front who decided to sell different things that are not in your normal grocery store. Drugs.
Drug dealers.
Drugs.
Drugs.
So if you needed some fentanyl or whatever. Now, I did an open house there, and I never told you guys this. I did an open house there one time, and I watched 9 drug deals go down, and only one person came to the open house. But you'd see all these rich people in their nice cars back up into this dead-end street, get their drugs, and off they went. And I watched it happen 9 times, and I'm like, well, I'm no police officer. I'm no sleuth, super sleuth. But if I notice it's happening, why the fuck can't the police figure that shit out? So anyways, the homeowner, I said, man, I can't sell this house. Drug dealers out front. Nobody wants to buy the house. But we had it priced right. So, I mean, it was a nice price on this house. And it had a lot of showings. But as soon as they saw the drug dealer, we're out of here. Had it under contract one time. They bought it during the day, and they decided to come back at dusk to show their friend. And then the drug dealers are out front, and they're like, call me up. We're out.
We're out.
So the homeowner, in his infinite wisdom, decides, hey, I'm going to go talk to them, see if they'll stop selling drugs till I can sell my house. Well, one of the things you're not going to disrupt with an entrepreneur as they are is their money flow.
Or go to the other house. Go in front of the other house.
He tried that. Didn't work. So then, in his infinite wisdom, he tried to stop them from making their money, and you're not stopping the flow of money in a situation like that. So he said, I'm going to call the police. Well, if the police didn't see it for the last 15 years they lived there, they're definitely not going to come tomorrow just because you called them. So they got a little angry at him. So they spray painted the words, fuck you, and his name right across the front. Right there.
Of the owner of the house?
Of the owner of the house, right on the front.
Right.
And I got pictures. Cliff, remind me. Mr. Cliff, remind me. I'm going to get those pictures to you. It says, fuck you, right on the front. And his name. But you can block out the name.
Was the house under contract at this point or no?
No, they backed out. So then I get a lady that calls me. She says, I'm a realtor, I got some people that want to buy the house. Great. There's only one way I'm going to let you see the house because we had taken off the market. They were going to paint it.
Yeah.
I said, there's only one way I'm going to let you see the house is if I can show up and be there with your people. Because I'm full transparent at this point. I'm going to point to the people. I'm going to tell them they sell drugs. I don't want to back. I don't do this for practice. I don't need the practice. I can suck at real estate all on my own. So I meet them there, and I tell the realtor, don't say anything. I got this. I point to the people who are there. I say, they sell drugs. Are you going to live here? She says, yes, I am. I said, well, I want to be fully transparent. This is what they do. This is the neighborhood you live in. This is a great price on the home. She says, I'll take it. Just like that.
Wow.
I'll take it. And then, show her the house, and she does the deal, and she's actually going to live there by herself in this house, and she bought it. And I was thinking to myself, if I can sell that house, I can sell anything. Anything. I can sell you.
See, the truth works.
It does. But the other realtor was just terrified because I said that. Those people, and I pointed right at the people, and they're waving. And
you made friends.
They weren't. They're nice people. They just did things for a living that I necessarily wouldn't condone or do.
Right. But again, that's why you made friends. And they're waving. They're like, there's Mike Johnson.
Cut out my last. Oh, I say my last name in the thing. I'm allowed to say my last name. You just can't say your last name.
I was like, isn't that like your whole podcast?
Yeah, that's my whole shtick, Mike motherfucking Johnson.
Yeah.
I guess my name's allowed to stay, Cliff. It's other people's last names we can't say.
We're now 3 beers in.
Yeah. I got a house now. It's a mobile home over here.
Yeah.
So you could get, what's the drug I was talking about? Fentanyl. You can get fentanyl at the last one. Over here is meth.
Nice.
So the people in this neighborhood, they don't have a lot of teeth. Not at all. As I walked into the guy's house for the listing appointment, who called me because
This is right here.
yeah, it's going to be there in a minute.
Yeah.
Fortunately.
Yeah.
But he goes, you want some moonshine? And that's how I started my listing appointment, was drinking moonshine. This guy, my wife's like, you were drinking what? But good news is
it's listing.
It did. It's going to be there a while. and I'm like, and you know how you phrase things differently when you want a different result? So if you really want the listing to be extended, you phrase it a little differently than, you don't want to extend this, do you? Because that's how I phrase it. And he's like, yeah, I do. And I'm like, son of a bitch. I didn't want him to say
You
yeah.
still want me to sell this for you?
Yeah. Pray fuck you on the front, and it'll sell just like that. So that made that whole first part about me, and I apologize, but those are funny stories.
That's a good story. That starts out okay.
Oh, what's the funniest story you've ever experienced?
So I have a bunch, probably, but I have one that will always stand out for me. It was about 5 years ago. It was 2019. It was right before all the COVID craziness, but we were still like in a good market. I'm one of those weird people who like working with lawyers. So I have a lot of lawyer contacts, probate, guardian, that kind of thing.
I have one of those and get a lot of dead people's houses. And by the way, before you go any further, dead people do not complain.
They don't.
They don't bitch about nothing.
And I like having the lawyers too, because there's no emotional attachment there. I tell them what the price is. They get it.
The whole process is pragmatic.
They trust me.
I can't talk. You guys got me drunk again. Can't talk. Yeah, it's pragmatic. They make sense. There's no emotional involvement.
They trust me. They look at the numbers, the comps, whatever. So I get a call one day from a lawyer that I work with, and he says that they have a special situation. And so what they do, they had a situation where, and I don't know always all of the situation, but somebody had died and there was a caretaker. I think some of the initial lawsuit was that they thought that she forged some of the documents before he died so that she could get the house, but the house was a mess.
That goes under the shadiest story too.
Okay, but that part of it I wasn't really involved in. I was involved in like control of the house on the house. So they said they needed to take documents to the court, and what they do is they call it a special magistrate. So I'm in control of the property like 100%. I even actually sign it under my name as a magistrate for the clerk of the court for Sarasota County.
Okay.
So, which means that I can price it the way I want to, I can look at the offers the way I want to, I can negotiate the way I want to, but I do have to take it in front of a judge when I do that to say, hey, so that way, like if I'm getting $1 million house, I'm not selling it for $300 for a quick
just
sale.
to get a quick,
right?
Yeah.
So I can whatever the market is saying I can do, but then I do have to put it in front of a judge. So they do that in front of the judge, and I get my court documents that says that I have control of this house. So I'm all excited because I'm like, oh, it's on a very nice street in Sarasota. It's a 4-bedroom with a pool. And yeah, and again, 2019, so a little bit before the craziness, but still. So they had an old appraisal, and so I looked at the appraisal and I was like, okay, I hadn't seen the house yet. So he gives me the phone number of the woman who lives in the house with her 3 sons.
This is now the caretaker.
This is now the caretaker who's in the
3
house.
sons.
Right.
Okay.
So I call her and I tell her, hey, I'm the realtor. I need to come look at the house. So of course she doesn't want to move. She doesn't want to sell. So I've got my work cut out for me. So I talked to the lawyers. She's not giving me access. So finally I get access to it. I go in there and I'm like, wow. And actually, after I went into the house the first time, I called a realtor that I used to work with our company. And I said, this might be one I need some help on because I think these people are a little crazy. And so I finally get access to the house when I go inside, and I had found that after the current appraisal that the pipes had burst in the house, like all through the house. So the pipes had burst in the house, and there was like sewage that was coming up through the shower. But these people were living in it, right? These people were living in this house. So I'm talking to her, and because the pipes had burst, some of the appliances ripped out, some of the wall was cut out. So I was like, well, I need to price this thing to get activity to. And she wasn't really allowing that many showings. So we did like one giant open house on like a Thursday night from like 5 to 8 or something like that.
Never mind that turd, folks. Just sign right here, press hard.
Oh my God! So of course,
it was floating
we go through the house with the other realtor that I had. We go through the house because when I first took the listing too, I think her sons were calling me kind of harassing. They were pretending they were other people. She didn't like the price I put on the house, all this other stuff. And when I started adding up, so it needed a new roof, the pipes had burst, you could walk through it and you could like basically just feel like, yeah, I mean, it was so bad. They had pulled out, the dishwasher was out, the walls were cut out, and the sewage. And this house at one point was so beautiful that it was in a magazine, like a local architectural magazine for Sarasota. And like it had, the pool in the backyard was like a grotto style pool. And you couldn't even tell there was a pool back there. Like they had like old gym equipment thrown in the backyard, all this other stuff. So because of the price point of the house, when I held the open house, there was just people through all the time. So when we walked in for the open house, of course, I think the AC had burst that day because there was like water coming, and I walk in and I'm like, well, this one more thing to add to everything.
Time out. Sorry to interrupt. So you have no AC
The AC was off.
and sewage going through the house.
Sewage.
Raw sewage coming through the house.
What time of the year was this?
I think it was like August or September.
Oh!
It may have been like around September of 2019.
Oh, so you had heated up raw sewage.
Right, and so you could also look up at the air vents, and because of the air vents, you could see the insulation like hanging, so you knew that there were rats up there too. So there were rats up there.
Critters.
And then when we walked into the laundry room, there was a palmetto bug that was like 5 inches long, right on the wall, and it was just like that. So we get through that, and I say, look, I'm just gonna have to do like one big open house because you're not gonna let people in. There's no lockbox. I mean, and she didn't want to leave. She was like refusing to leave for the showing.
Fuck, I wouldn't have been able to get in there fast enough. I'd have been
Oh yeah, no, she was like, and she thought the house was worth so much more. So she kept telling me, where the story really starts to get good is she kept telling me that her boyfriend was gonna buy the house for her. And I said, okay, that's cool. Just have him send me a contract or call me, whatever. Well, he's very busy because he's famous. So I was like,
this is going to take a wrong turn quick.
So I said, okay, so we're going to do an open house like tomorrow or whatever the day was. We're going to do an open house. And so we do the open house, and I quickly realized who she thought she was engaged to, because I actually think I'm pretty sure she was being catfished, because she even showed me pictures of like a.
For us old people, what is catfishing?
So somebody makes a fake account as Bradley Cooper and starts sending it to some poor person who thinks that Bradley Cooper is. But they put Bradley. I get messages from Brad Pitt all the time and Johnny Depp and all kinds of weird stuff. So it's basically like she was getting catfished. So I said, okay, we're gonna do an open house. So we get there, me and the other agent that I pulled in, and the house is like not at all ready at all. And people start coming because, like,
how do you make a house like that ready, though?
Right, you don't. But like, her sons were there, so she's got signs up on the walls that say, "Don't talk to the realtor. My boyfriend is a country music star, and he's buying me the house." Like, there are signs in the house. No, I swear, there were signs in the house. So, like, John and I were looking at each other and we're like, okay, we're just gonna have to figure this out. And thankfully I don't think I can do so much alone, but I don't think I could have done this one. So one of the sons had this pit bull that was like nasty and growling, like not your friendly, cute pit bull. This dog was aggressive. So we're like, the dog's gotta go. So he leaves with the dog for like 30 minutes and then comes back and says, can I come back in with my dog? And I'm like, no, we're still. So he decides that he's just gonna like be on there. He slams the door and he's on the front lawn. He's like, these fucking people, I'm gonna fuck everybody up. And he starts yelling and people are walking through the house. So then the other son, who like decided
I got questions, so I'm writing them down.
Okay.
Keep going.
So then the other son who decides real quick that he's just not gonna come out of the bedroom, he's just gonna be getting in there getting high. So we're like, okay.
That was my question.
So right. So we're like, the dog's got to go. Like that. I don't care what else happens. The dog's got to go. If that dog bites somebody, we're all going to be in a lot of trouble. So he finally leaves with the dog after he just is on the front lawn yelling for like a couple of minutes. So then John and I realize that there's people walking through the open house and they just disappear. And we're like,
well, they're in the other son's room smoking a blunt.
Yeah.
You're lying.
I swear.
You called it.
So finally, because we're like, when the people come in and I'm talking to them and I tell them, I'm like, look, their signs up, just and then we realize that she's also walking around talking to people about her country music superstar fiance or whatever. And so they come over and they start asking me questions and I'm answering the questions. And then we realize that the people that we were talking to, like, they come walking out of the bedroom.
Stone as a bat.
So So like that's all going on, and John and I are just looking at each other like we just can't wait till this is over. We know someone's buying this house because like there was value there for an investor. Mm-hmm. So we know somebody's buying this house. So like we go through all that, and then we realize so there was also things that were in the house that were furniture that were kind of part of like the estate. But so she just also decides that she's just going to start selling stuff to people that are walking through the open house. So like someone's going, oh yeah, I'll buy that bench for $50, and I'm just like, I can't even believe it.
So it turned into a garage sale.
Turned into a garage sale.
So, did you have snacks for your open house? Because the people coming out of the room.
Oh yeah, with the snacks and the palmetto bugs would have been like totally perfect.
Well, no, the people coming out of the room high would have loved the snacks on their way.
No, I didn't really think that far ahead.
You didn't. You got to provide for the people getting high. See, shame on you as a realtor.
Should have brought my own. Should have brought my own
Tater
stash.
tots.
Yeah.
You need the tater tots.
Yeah. Doritos and.
I could have had my own supply if I really would have thought about it. And been like, hey, buy the house.
Everybody's gonna get high. I might as well too. Shit.
So I'm trying to talk to people who I think are legitimately like wanting to go to this house. And in the meantime, like the one son's, that son's like at least gone because he was yelling, and the other son's getting high, and then the woman's walking around talking about her country music superstar boyfriend, and don't talk to the realtors because he's gonna buy her the house and whatever. So because the people that were living there were so, I wasn't sure what they were gonna do. So I also had the lawyer write this long because I had 5 or 6 offers on it. I think that was like before multiple offers was kind of a thing, and I was like, okay, you can deal with all of the pipes and all this other stuff. And so once we got it under contract, and I had one of the lawyers draw up an addendum that stated like, I'm like, look, I don't know what this woman's gonna do. She may sell all the appliances day of closing. I don't know what you're gonna get. You could get anything. So we go through, we go in front of the court. She tries to argue, because she even got some of the proceeds of the house. And because they couldn't prove like all the other stuff.
Well, then that just goes back to the stupid people. You should have fixed the house up. If you're going to get some of the proceeds, make it look nice so you get a little more money.
There was none of that. I mean, she thought she was engaged to a country music superstar.
Oh, please tell me the name of the country music. I got to know.
Please say.
She thought it was Tim McGraw.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, time out. I'm leaving Faith.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm leaving Faith for you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No,
And your 3 meth head kids and a pit bull.
Oh,
Yeah, what a great idea.
in Sarasota, Florida.
In Sarasota.
And otherwise, I don't think this woman had any money at all. So we go through. I have the lawyer write up the addendum, and the buyer signs it. Because I mean the price, and that's why I priced it kind of the price point I did. Because I'm like, I don't know what you're gonna get. She could burn the house down the day of closing. I don't know. So we go over there for the walkthrough the day of closing, and nothing's moved out. Nothing's gone. Nothing's packed. Except she's now on the front lawn having another yard sale with everything else that was. So I'm going through the house, and I'm like, I've got gloves on, and I'm going through the cabinets, and I'm trying to just put stuff in bags and throw stuff away and just all this. I'm like, oh my God. So I call the lawyers. I'm like, look, we're supposed to close in an hour. The buyer's over here looking at me, and I'm like, I told you this because here's the addendum that you signed. I didn't know what you were getting. And so she's out there screaming that she doesn't have any money to move. The proceeds are like, in order to move, she needs to have the proceeds. And so I said, well, we can't close, like, you know. And so she's also at the same time trying to sell the new buyer like artwork or something that was in there.
Wow.
So we finally get through the closing, and so the lawyers say, look, here's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna release half of the funds to her. That way she can move. We'll have the buyer sign another addendum saying like she has like 2 hours or whatever to get out of there.
To get out.
Yeah, and so we do all that, we close, and I don't know exactly what happened after that point because I think I was just telling the other realtor who I knew, who's actually somebody that I know, and I said, look, I don't know what else to do. This is like this.
Wow, what a nightmare.
So I'm like, I don't know.
I just want to clarify a couple things because that went pretty quick and I'm not that smart. Right, Mario?
Yeah.
Nah.
Not smart at all.
Right, see? So these fuckers came to an open house, and instead of looking at the house, which, by the way, had sewage, no AC, roof needed bed, palmetto bugs, rats. And so they said, screw it, we'll go back into this house with all that shit wrong with it, and we're going to trust a guy in the house to smoke pot with him like there's nothing laced in his pot.
I'm telling you, it's all true. It's all true.
I don't question the validity of your story. I'm questioning the
And we
sense that
probably
somebody
had-
has.
You know, that was one of my first things of multiple offers, craziness at the door. Like, that was just, you know, we went through that in 2021 and 2022. Yeah. Like, we knew we put something in MLS and we were getting all these calls. That was like one of my, even though I've been in real estate for a long time and I've been through craziness, that was like one of my real first. Wow. I mean, we probably had, I think we did it from like either 5 to 8 or 6, something like that. It was a couple hours on like a weeknight, because that was the only night she allowed us to do it. And we had like 20 or 30 people through at that point.
So that was right at that, like you said, right before the craziness started. And then we get into I'm in my car as a buying agent,
right,
writing offers on the computer, and I'm waiting in line to see the house.
Yeah.
Because you've got 40 realtors in line to see these houses. So I'm writing the offer up before I can even get in the car.
Before you can see the house?
Before you can even see the house, you're writing an offer because they're going to buy it. So then as a listing agent, you're like sitting there going, yes, I got a listing, because they were few and far to come by. I sold my own house during that time, and 60 people came through my house, the one over on Lakeshore, near you. 60 people came through my house, and I have 2 dogs, and I'm sitting out there, and I'm a realtor, so I'm sitting out there with the dogs. I mean, it's crazy times we were in.
Well, and this was 2019, so this was a time when I knew, I mean, pricing was important, things were selling, it was normal. You know, normal market.
Well, it's a math equation.
But I also knew that investors are going to go in there and they're just going to tear this thing apart. They're going to, if I price this at like really, you know, what it could be, they're going to go in, they're going to be like, well, that pool and the roof.
Well, that's what they all do. They walk in, they got their pen, they got their paper.
And
okay.
I'm like, and you could, when you walk through like the primary bedroom area, you could, I mean, you could just feel the wood floors, like they were soft, you know, and I'm like, there must just be water all through this house, because the pipes had burst months before I even took the listing, and they just let it go. It just deteriorated.
So an investor walks in and goes, okay, she got it priced here. It's 10 grand for floors, 30 grand for a new roof, and then they do the math equation, and they figured the comps, and so they're going to say, I'm going to put X amount of money into it, and then I'm going to sell it for this amount of money. Here's my margin.
Well, that's why I priced it where I did, because they couldn't argue, so I sold it over list price.
Yeah, that's another methodology.
Right.
There you go.
They couldn't argue. They knew. They go, okay, well, here's what I could do if I do this, or I could rent it, or if I fix it up and do. So I did that because I didn't want to be like the investors that wanted.
I'm guessing today, whoever bought it has turned it into a nice house.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. I've seen someone probably flipped it.
Yeah.
They decided. Well, this was probably 2 years ago. I think they followed up with me. And it looked like they had renters in there, like they had done it as a rental.
They'd probably get a pretty penny for it if you fix it up.
It was a beautiful house. It was just really sad to see like that deterioration of not being taken care of.
So that's when we learned as realtors how to do the terms highest and best do buy.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we did. And
you'd have to do a spreadsheet to get all the offers together, and then you'd have categories like cash, FHA, VA. If you had an FHA or VA, you might as well not.
Well, that house wasn't doing even conventional.
Oh no, you were.
I was like, look, I don't know. All she tells me is that there's sewage that every now and again comes up to the shower. I don't know where it comes from. I don't know. The pipes are broken, but this is what you're getting. So.
But country star boyfriend Tim McGraw is getting ready to write a check for it.
You know, and the good thing is, a lot of the good investors, that doesn't scare a lot of people. They're like, I know how to. You know, I've got really good resources. I know how to do it for the right price.
Me.
I got a guy that goes, the shittier the better, and he goes in these houses, and I won't even walk in some of these houses, and he'll lift up the carpet, and this is a guy, pretty wealthy guy, and he'll do, and I'm like, how do you do that? I'm out, 0 chance. And he bought one that had mold in it in Venice. The hurricane got the roof and had mold in it, and he went in and made it does great work, made it a beautiful home. But he was in there just, and no mask or nothing, and I'm like, bro.
They're just, some of those guys were like, this doesn't scare me at all.
So usually I ask 3 people. The funniest, the shocking, and the shadiest. And that had all 3 right there. You just encompassed the whole damn damn show with that great story. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
And I still am baffled by somebody who's willing to smoke pot with somebody who lives in a house like that. And if they were sharing a bong, you're hitting a bong after this.
I don't know exactly what was going on because I was just like, I just want to sell this house and go home.
God, that's crazy. And I've seen some shitty houses.
But it was like,
disgusting.
John and I were looking at each other like, where'd that one guy go? And we thought maybe he had just left, and like 10 minutes later he comes walking out of the bedroom.
Wow.
Like, okay.
So yeah, I was gonna say, well, one of my questions for you was gonna be, what's the craziest shit you've ever seen? That's like drugs or sex paraphernalia or something like that. But that story had it all.
Yeah, it was good. It was good times.
Wow.
It was fun times.
Yeah. Does Tim McGraw know he owns a house in Sarasota?
Well, he didn't. He decided to not buy that.
He backed out?
Back down the last minute. Faith was going to shut it down.
Faith shut down the mistress deal.
Yeah, she shut down the mistress in Sarasota.
Wow,
Yeah,
crazy
definitely.
stories. I appreciate you coming out. That's what do you say to
and
that?
sometimes these stories are like, for me, they're those situations are fun. They're learning experiences. I think I like that. They're challenges, so they kind of get you to think a different way or to,
How many times have you walked into a home? And I do that. It happens to me quite a bit, and not so much anymore. But when I first started this, I started in 2018, so I haven't been doing it nearly as long as you have. But when I first got into this, we all have a certain standard of living. And when I walk in some of these houses and I think to myself, how can people live like this?
Yeah.
And then they say, have a seat. No,
I've
I'm good.
had hoarder house listings before.
I mean, but how do you live like that?
Well, see, on the flip side, on the car business side, occasionally we have a repossession. I go look and inspect the repo of the car, and it looks like a herd of goats have been living in it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So that tells me.
Have you ever come across blood, like
I've come across.
somebody was murdered in there?
No, we've had that in the house.
No murders directly in the car. I've had a suicide in the trunk.
Oh,
Hold on. Time out. How the fuck can you kill yourself if you're locked in a trunk? Oh, you locked yourself in the trunk to kill yourself.
yeah, you can do anything.
Well, then there was. This is now some time ago.
Okay.
I'm in the office, okay, and I get a phone call, or a phone call comes in, and one of the gals says, "Hey, Mario, there's a Florida Highway Patrol guy that wants to talk to you." I pick up the phone, and he tells me, "Hey, I'm, Highway Patrolman such and such, and I'm on top of the Skyway Bridge. And a car registered to you as the lien holder is sitting here running."
The person jumped off.
Oh, they're getting ready to jump. Yeah.
Oh no. And he says there's a couple people that have told me he climbed the fence and jumped over, and they saw him do it, and your car's sitting here idling at the top.
What do you do then?
Well, I didn't get another payment.
Well, no, you got the car back.
But I got the car back, yeah. He says, "I'm going to tow it unless you come get it."
You couldn't get there fast enough. He probably towed it.
No, he didn't tell you. He says, "Do me a favor, shut it down, and we'll go get it." And we went and got it.
Wow. See, now, in a situation like that, I have a lot of questions for the patrol officers. Like, I'd ask, well, did anybody see if he did a swan? Did he cannonball? Was it a tuck and roll? I got to know stuff like that.
I'm just telling you that you don't get,
Do you understand when you do that? And people who do it understand, but they can't tell us because they died. But apparently it breaks every bone in your body, and it's the most painful way to go when you jump off the
Gotta
sky.
be.
I mean,
I can't even imagine.
So anyway, that was, yeah.
Not a real estate story, but pretty shocking. Do you know in the state of Florida, you don't have to tell people somebody died in the house?
Yeah, I know.
You know, it's still a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. I took Emily to a house one time, and the lady died in the bed. And I said, "Hey, I need you to help me look at this house. Tell me what you think."
Was the bed still there?
Yeah. Oh, and you could see where they dragged her out of the bed because she died in the bed. And I took her over there on the premise that she was going to help me look and see the value and all this other stuff. But really, I just wanted her to go in the bedroom, and she saw where the lady died, and they drug her out of the bed. And she didn't complain about the price of the house.
Right.
Nothing. I said, "You want to sell it for this?" And she said, "Nothing." I said, "Great." I said, "What do you think about this offer?" Nothing. She didn't complain about it at all. We took the offer sold.
No, that stuff doesn't bother me. Whatever. I mean,
Yeah, it is what it is. And somebody says, "Oh, do you go in those houses?" Yeah, go right in. Don't bother me.
No.
I didn't piss the lady off. I didn't kill her. She's not mad at me. She might be mad at somebody else, but it ain't me. So, hey guys, I want to appreciate you very much for coming out today and joining us on the Who's Next Let's Go show. Did I say it clear that time? All right, perfect. Because last time he said I
You're
mumbled
stepping
it.
up. You're doing good now.
Too much back porch.
I'm getting sober. I better drink up some more here. Thanks everyone for coming out to today's episode, and I also appreciate Andrea coming out very, very much. I'm spending time out of your day to hang out with us.
I like this.
Thank the folks over at Back Porch Brewing Company once again, and go in and have a couple of beers and tell them Mike sent you. Thanks again for coming out. Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Who's Next Let's Go show. If you want to hear more, you can catch new episodes on Wednesdays at noon, and all episodes will be on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at the Who's Next Let's Go show.